again. During the psychophysiology class at Saybrook's Half Moon Bay meeting, you heard Don and Fred and I all talk a little bit about Dr. Paul Lehrer, who was a leader in a lot of the work that we're looking at in psychophysiology. I thought I'd just add a quick little video for you to see how he responded to the question when I asked him if he had a favorite story about psychophysiology or biofeedback. This is Dr. Paul Lehrer.
It's the story of a psychiatrist named Lee Burke, who was working in David Shapiro's laboratory at the same time I was a graduate student at Harvard. Lee Burke, I should say, is probably the bravest person to function in the biofeedback field, as far as I know. He put his life on the line in the service of biofeedback research. At the time, Shapiro and his colleagues were studying people's ability to control skin conductance and heart rate in basic research in the laboratory. And the criticisms that they were getting was that people really were not able to control their autonomic nervous system directly, but that really in some very subtle way they were changing their muscle tension. And that was the mechanism by which these things took place. They didn't believe it, but that was what was being told to them. They needed to find some way to prove that people actually could control autonomic function. Well, Lee Burke, who was a resident, a psychiatric resident at the time, volunteered to have himself administer the drug curare. This is the drug that's used at the poison darts in parts of South America. It paralyzes the body completely, so the muscles are not able to move at all. In fact, the person is not able to breathe. That's why it's used as a poison dart. So Lee volunteered to have himself curarized, and he was artificially ventilated. And while he was under the influence of curare, Dr. Shapiro had him try to change his level of skin conductance responses, number of skin conductance responses, sympathetic response for the palm, and also his heart rate. And sure enough, he could do it, now without any muscle involvement at all. Well, so that's the story of, and then he survived the experiment and wrote it up. It's written, he's the first author of the paper. It was written in the late 1960s, early 1970s. And I really suggest people see if they can find this paper, because it's one of the classic papers in biofeedback that really shows that without any muscle control at all, people are able to control the autonomic nervous system. I think it's the most dramatic biofeedback study ever done.
Well, thank you very much.